Here's a quick pregame before the game of the week. Last night in San Francisco, the Dodgers, having a magic number of one, tied with the Giants in the sixth inning, 2-2, when in the top of the sixth, with Tom Haller on first, Bill Sudakis doubled, scoring Haller, putting the Dodgers up 3-2. And then to put a cap on it, the Dodgers scored 4 runs in the seventh, putting the game out of reach of the Giants 7-2. And the Giants clinched the first National League West title. In the East, 4 games separating the top 4 teams. There were 2 important doubleheaders yesterday. In Chicago, faced the Cardinals, the third place Cubs facing the fourth place Cardinals. And in the first game, went into the bottom of the ninth. The game tied 4-4. And the Cubs got 2 quick hits, a single by Randy Hundley and another single by Glenn Becker. And then rookie Ken Rudolph pinch hit. And he hit his first major league home run, which gave the Cubs a 7-4 win over the Cardinals. Game 2 was a pitcher's duel between Cy Young candidates Bob Gibson and Fergie Jenkins. And the teams traded zeros until the bottom of the eighth, when Don Kessinger led off Cubs half the eighth with a triple, and Glenn Beckert scored him on a sacrifice fly. And the Cubs win the game 1-0. Fergie Jenkins is now 21-14, and Bob Gibson is 26-8. This leaves the Cardinals in fourth place. They're 83-68, and the Cubs are in third place, 87-66. They're 3 games ahead of the Cardinals. Then we move to New York, where the first place Pirates and second place Mets square off in a doubleheader. Game 1 is Bob Moose versus Tom Seaver. Bob Moose, fans 11. And Pittsburgh wins it 3-1. Moose is now 9-3. Seaver drops to 17-9. In the second game of the doubleheader, I did here. Is Bob Veal of the Pirates versus Rookie of the Year candidate Gary Gentry for the Mets. In this game, the Mets jump off to a quick 2-0 lead. After 3 innings, they're leading 6-1, and they end up winning the game 8-3. Tommy Agee has 3 hits. This leaves Pittsburgh in first place, New York in second place, a game behind Pittsburgh, Chicago in third place, a game behind Pittsburgh. They're 1 percentage point behind New York. St. Louis is 4 games back. Coming up, it's Pittsburgh plays today in New York and then has a doubleheader against the Mets tomorrow. They have a doubleheader coming up with Philadelphia on the 25th. They play Chicago and then they end the season with Montreal. The Mets, after facing Pittsburgh, games, they finished the season at Wrigley Field. The Cubs, after playing St. Louis this weekend, host Montreal, then they go to Pittsburgh for 3 games. St. Louis, that's Chicago this weekend. Then they go to New York for 3 games. So these 4 teams will be playing each other several times, and there is no telling how it's going to end. The league has already made preparations in case the season ends in a tie, or if it ends in a 3-way tie or a 4-way tie. But with the National League Championship Series, after the Eastern champion is determined, will start in Los Angeles. If Los Angeles plays Pittsburgh or New York, there'll be a travel day between games 2 and 3. But if Los Angeles plays Chicago or St. Louis, there'll be no travel day. The American League Championship Series begins in Baltimore, and there will be no travel days. It looks like it's going to be Baltimore and Minnesota because Oakland is fading. They're 7 games out, but in the West, a month ago, it looked like it was going to be Los Angeles, Cincinnati, and Atlanta going down to the wire, but Atlanta went on a 12-game losing streak. And let's see what Cincinnati's done there. They're having a bad September. Cincinnati's been 5-14 in September, so they faded as well. And Baltimore, I mean, they started the season 19-0, and they've been in the driver's seat of the American League East the entire series. Today's game of the week will be in. Last week it was the Mets and the Pirates at Forbes Field. Today it will be the Mets and the Pirates at Shea Stadium. Last week when they played, Pittsburgh's pitching staff was totally shredded because of having played two double headers in the 3 days before that game. This week in the Pittsburgh rotation and bullpen is in a little better shape. The Mets are one of the big stories this year because not only have they never been in a pennant race before, they've never finished above 500 before. They, along with Washington, have been the biggest improved teams. Last year, Washington was 62-99. And this year, with first-year manager, they 84-67 so far. I mean, they're in second place. If they were in the West, it would be a game and a half out of first place behind Minnesota. That's all for the pregame report. And if you'll stay tuned, the game of the week will be starting shortly. Thank you.